The following is a Productions original series.
Hello and welcome to Walk and Roll Live. I'm Doug Vincent, along with Addie Rich. Our podcast is dedicated to amplifying the voices of the disability community. We do this by featuring individuals with disabilities who share their stories with us, as well as learn about organizations that provide programs, services, and support to the community. I am a polio survivor, and Addie
has cerebral palsy and has forever 46 years.
That's right. So, you have a good week? We talked before. We came on here, so I know your week was a roller coaster. Right?
I had an interesting week. My computer decided to give up the ghost on Wednesday after lunch, so I got back from lunch, and it said, you have 29 minutes left of your battery, please plug in. And I tried to plug in, and nada enchilada. So I have the same personal computer, so I went and got the plug, nada enchilada. Then I went and got my dock, because I thought, okay, I won't use the plug, I'll use the dock, and it'll think it's well, because the plug, the actual internal plug had gone bad, it didn't even recognize the dock. So then I'm calling the helpline, like, please help me, I have 29 minutes, you must mirror my computer. So I've been computerless and gotten some time to reflect on my life.
This is like a thriller, when they get stuck in space or something. We've got 29 minutes.
Exactly, but I'm such a control freak that I've been anxiously awaiting my loaner so I can do my work. I work in accounting.
Just so I give everybody context,
yes,
is that Addie works from home.
I do,
and has worked from home even pre-COVID. So
yes,
this is your whole world, right? Yeah. So when you don't have a computer, it's like everything's shut down. If you're in an office.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Oh, for sure. And I was like bargaining with the guy, like, can you provision my personal computer so I can get some stuff done? And I was joking with him because I'm like, I'm probably the biggest weirdo that wants to work, that is trying to bargain. But I mean, for those of you that listen a lot, I work in the accounting world. So the end of the month and the beginning of the month is my craziest time. I open and close months and things. So I'm just
there could be a worse time, right?
This is the worst time.
Yeah.
It could have done it the week before and we would have been okay.
So no computer yet. Well, hopefully that will come in soon. Any good news this past week? Anything good?
I mean, that was good news. I got free time off, but I didn't know what to do with myself other than stew over the fact that I didn't have a computer.
The glass is half full.
Right, exactly. I mean, we must say. But I told my boss, it's not like I planned to go to Florida and got it all in my head. It was suddenly you have 29 minutes and my anxiety beast awoke. And here we are. But it was a good chance to get some stuff done that I've been looking at for a while. I'm thinking, I should do that.
Nice.
How about you? It was a race weekend, was it not?
Well, yeah, pretty much. Between February and November, every weekend is a race weekend. I think they have next week off, so they got a 2-week period here before another race. But yeah, and it was a three-fer. They had the truck race and the Xfinity race. I'm a NASCAR fan, and then the Big Cup race. So yeah, they were all very good. Yeah, good time. I don't have I guess Joey Logano would be my favorite driver now, but it was Mark Martin forever, and before that, Alan Kulwicki. That takes you back a few decades.
I don't know these things, but I know that you love them. And there was a car show of some sort? Or am I wrong?
I'm trying to think. Yes. Yeah, that was Saturday. There was the big car show downtown Riverside. As for the East Side Rotary Club in Riverside, California, and they sold out. I think it's somewhere north of 1,000 cars. A lot of cars, a little of everything. There's a guy.
Amazing.
Yeah, there's a guy that has 3 old buses. Somehow he's acquired, and probably the look of them and the graphics on them and all that. They're probably 70s or so. And he just comes down for free and does the cruise. And just what's great is just people walking around can just climb on the bus. He doesn't charge anything, and he just drives around the cruise. So everybody gets to go around and see the cars without having to walk around.
That's a bomb.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. People love it. And then there's everything else, and the people's imagination that create these cars. I mean, it really is an art form, because that exists in your mind, and you have to create it in metal and all the things. And there's tractors, military vehicles, you name it. It's all there. Yeah, good time. And then Sunday we had a little fundraiser for Rolling Start. Did one of those things where we go to a restaurant and we had breakfast. So all gathered and had breakfast and invited all of our constituents. So that was a good time. We had a good turnout.
That's awesome.
Kind of late at last minute, but it came together very nicely. And a couple of board meetings last week. Those are always a hoot. And
some could say that. That's a way to say it.
That's the way I said it. Yep. I had a couple of doctor's appointments, and I wanted to run this by you. And I am, at least I feel, and I feel like I'm being honest with myself. I'm not really a sensitive guy when it comes to how I'm addressed. As far as my disability goes, I know people, don't understand. It's whatever, and so you have these little slights, and they just kind of roll off. But this one, I don't know why, it just kind of irritated me. So I go to the doctor, and first of all, I was going to a doctor, like a group, a medical group, and so I want a doctor that I could build a relationship with. And I see them every time. They know what's going on with me. I think that continuity is important for my health.
Yes.
And so I went to see the doctor that I'm going to see now, because I looked for a dermatologist for something, and she came up as a dermatologist. But as we addressed that, got all that squared away, then I noticed she's an MD. I was like, did I just come to you as a doctor? I really liked her. We really kind of connected. So I saw her 2 or 3 times. Now I'm seeing somebody else in her practice. Well, I'm only there because I wanted, I clicked with her.
Right.
So if I'm not seeing her, what's the point? So I got to address that. Now I got to call, and, maybe she doesn't feel the same about me. Anyway, go ahead.
Right. Did they say they were doing a fill-in, though, or they said this is your new provider?
I don't remember that. The gal came in this week, and she said, I haven't seen you. And I'm like, I don't recall her at all. That's how much.
You're like, I've never seen you.
Bless her heart, but that's the impression she made on me. To this moment, I have no recollection of seeing her before. But perfectly wonderful lady. But in the course of asking all the questions, she asks, who do you live with?
Okay.
Does that, do you get the, or is it just me? Again, maybe I'm being...
No, that's just you. I think that's just you being old. No, I'm kidding.
Old?
No, because
easy. Let's not go there.
Hey, that was for Forrest.
Yeah.
They always ask me that. Like, who lives in your household?
And no. I can deal with who lives in your household. Who do you live with?
But I think it's the same question by a different phrase. Are you saying they're implying you need a caretaker?
Yeah. I do not think they pose that question to an able-bodied person that way. Then they say it your way. Who else is in your household?
Well, maybe it's just her style and it's a bad bedside
I don't
manner.
like her style.
Yeah. No, I mean, because the girl, I'm in a similar boat to you. My GP now is because she was a fill-in for the one I had before, who I didn't really love, and I really clicked with this girl. And I went a few weeks ago and I told her the only reason I come to the doctor is because it's you. But because she can be really blunt, you know what I mean? Like, she'll be like, hey, you need to fix your cholesterol or whatever. It doesn't hurt. But I could get that you would feel weird about it. But I really think that that's like standard in the group of questions nowadays.
And I'm torn too, because I mean, it's like, I'm not really, really upset about it, but it just was off.
But what would you rather they said?
How many in your household? Do you live with anybody? Just be straight. It seems passive aggressive to me. I know what you're getting at. You assume that, I've talked to other people before we got to the podcast here. and they were a little bit more like, yeah, I get it all the time. People will say, people that are surprised that you drive, people that are, oh yeah, when they find out you at least had a wife at one time, you have a child, you have a grandchild, and it's the closed captioning that's on their face. It's not what they say.
No, totally.
You see the look in their eye, like bewildered, like the dog that turns their head. What? This guy has
I get that. Yeah. I get that. I mean, I've been in situations where people are like, wait, you have a husband?
Yeah.
It's like, yes, I do, actually.
Yeah. Oh, have I ever told you the story?
I feel you.
I'm going to tell a story. Forgive me, everybody. But I got to tell you this story because this really relates here. I used to live or work in a, like a 4-story building. So there's all these little offices in there. And I befriended a guy that down the hall from where the radio station was. And, we became friends and we lifted weights together, all that stuff. So I would go in there and he had a coworker, young lady that lived in there. And, and at the time I was married and my daughter was a baby, 2 years old. And every once in a while, her and the wife would come by and, and of course they would probably pop in and see my friend Rich because they knew him. He was right off the elevator. And so his coworker, the young lady, would ask repeatedly, evidently, if that was my child. She didn't think I could father a child. Yeah. And if you saw my daughter at 2 years old, this is the joke I always used to tell. She looked so much like me, I would say, we're not sure if her mother is her mother, but, that's definitely my child.
It's definitely you. Yeah.
But this was where she would ask so much of him. Every time she'd see, my child or me or whatever, are you sure? And finally, he said he just kind of got mad. And he said, here, I'm going to give you $20. Go over to a local motel and they'll show you.
Oh, no, people. Spicy.
I wasn't any part of that. That was just him.
Right?
Telling what he finally, out of frustration, that's what he said to her.
You're like, I'm sorry. I'm already accounted for. See, I have a child and a wife, but no, different time, different circumstance, maybe.
Yeah. And I took no offense to that. I thought that was funny. So that just to give you an idea of my level of, like this statement that she said over the course of my life, there might have been 2 or 3 others like that kind of struck me as odd like that. But that one, just was that.
But you know what's funny? And because it's in a clinical setting, I don't even think she'd remember she said it that way. Like, you know what I mean? You're a box and a number. And it's the same like when I had my back surgery and I literally was a number. They don't give you a name. Your patient number, blah, 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 blah. Because I was at UCI. It was a training hospital. And because I was one of the first ones to ever have that surgery, they literally brought every round of students in there, right? Yeah. I had no name. I was this thing that had the surgery.
I understand totally because it's gotten to the point. I don't think they've done it there yet, but every doctor I've gone to over the last 10 to 15 years, I see the students more than I see the doctor.
For sure.
Which that irritates me on another level, but
right.
That's for another show.
For another time. Yeah, no, for real. And the fact that so I go to Emory, which is a huge back here, right? But it's also a teaching hospital. If I'm in the neurology wing, same, that you're going to see the guy who's learning to do whatever. And you're going to, especially because you're a good case and you're well controlled, they're going to let them mess up and you, right? But they don't know who I am. I could literally see you in the grocery store later and say hi and you'd be like, who is that? And I'd be like, I was just in your office.
Okay, we spent a lot of time on that, but one other thing she asked me, this didn't really irritate me, but I know she doesn't ask this of everybody else. How are you doing with the bed sores? I have no history of bed sores. No doctor in my 70 years almost has ever asked me that.
Okay, so then we know she is dumb as a doornail. Sorry, whoever you are.
That's the one that goes with you? Jeez. Okay.
Yes.
I kid.
It shows she doesn't read the chart. She has an automated version of what she's going to say. Yeah. And don't interrupt her or she'll get lost like the robot who's like, wait, whoa. Yeah, it doesn't know the rewind.
All right.
I send my sympathies to you.
That concludes this segment on Doug at the Doctor. All right.
That's a new one.
Yeah. We honestly, we won't repeat it too often. I think that was all I had for the week.
Oh, nice. Well,
Thank you for listening. Thanks for the therapy session.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Call in with your troubles. I will dissect them for you.
I appreciate it. So wanted to thank Cody Norman and Logan Fry from The Perfect Step and the Pathway to Healing podcast.
Yes, we do.
Yeah,
I like those boys.
They do a great
awesome.
job for being a couple of guys that went to college and have gone through this field of physical therapy, and now they've entered the podcast world, and they do a very nice job. So check them out as well. All right, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share there and here, please, please, please. And coming up today, we've got a miracle guest again. Right,
yes,
she's survived her injuries.
The falling angel in my mind, right?
There we go. That's our tease, the falling angel. So stand by, and we'll be right with her in just a moment. But first, this word from Aguiar Professional Training.
At Aguiar Professional Training, we know that your greatest asset is your team. Investing in their development, knowledge, and happiness is essential for your business's success and growth. To achieve new heights, it's important to hire intelligent, talented individuals and empower them to excel in their areas of strength and passion. Aguiar is committed to transforming your employees into happier, more productive, and fulfilled individuals. When your team thrives, your business prospers. Wise leaders understand that providing team members with opportunities to shine in their strengths unlocks untapped potential. Elevate your team with Aguiar Professional Training and witness the growth of your business.
From the Aguiar Professional Training Studios, you're listening to Walk and Roll Live, Disability Stories.
We're not here for your sympathy, we're here to take our place. We're carving paths, we're building dreams, we're running life's great race. Don't raise us up on fragile words or call us brave for just being. We want a world that's fair and true, not bound by what you're seeing.
Welcome back to Walk and Roll Live. Let's start with our introduction of our new guest this week, Alexis Mazon. I'll start with it. Am I saying that right? Mazon?
Yes, you are.
Very nice, very nice. So I'll let you do the rest. Where you're from, disability status.
So I was born here in California in Whittier, then grew up in Cincinnati, Ohio, and then moved back to Rialto. So I live in Rialto right now.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What took you to Cincinnati? I imagine parents, family.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think my dad just was able to get a new job out there. He's like a steak chef. So.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
Very fun.
Yeah. Woohoo.
And how old were you when you moved back there?
So I was like maybe a year old.
Oh, so you don't remember that?
Little.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I moved over there and then moved back when I was in 6th grade.
Was that a bit of a shock?
So like 10 or 11 years where you were in Ohio.
Yeah. Yes, it was. Yes, because I'm not. So I'm Hispanic, and I had never met another Hispanic person until I was in middle school. Till I moved here
in Cincinnati. None. Huh? Oh,
none. There was. My mom had a best friend, and she was Cuban.
Okay.
So that was like the closest I got.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You're like, this is the extent of my knowledge, which is very interesting.
Which is also really cool because when we moved over here, I had never even heard of an elote, and now they're like part of my favorite foods. I love, I love all the authentic Mexican food out here because it doesn't exist over there.
Not in Cincinnati.
Oh no, for sure.
Yeah.
I live in Georgia. I live in Atlanta, and there is a Hispanic community. Like we have what's called Buford Highway, which is kind of like all culturally diverse areas, almost like New York, where you have like Little Italy and all that, right? Mm-hmm. But growing up in California, I'm still like, where is the real Mexican food? If I'm not in like that area, because it's such a big difference in community. I grew up on the central coast of California, so I moved back here when I was an adult. But every time I go home, it's like, all right, I need 3 million tacos. I need somebody to make tamales. I need to just sit here and eat for the extent of the stay.
Yes, just stock me up, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
So what kind of kid were you? Were you into sports or?
I have always been very artistic. That's just been the route I've gone through all my life, and I love it. But I was also like very active in Girl Scouts back then. I would like go up to like Pennsylvania, and they would send me to like horseback riding camp. And yeah, I went to a lot of Girl Scouts activities, and that is also something that I missed when I moved over here. It was really hard to find troops out here.
Yeah.
So not as
Isn't it funny
active
how
here in
culturally
California.
different
Yes.
places are. Like, and I imagine up there in Pennsylvania and stuff, the camps would be amazing because it's like a real camp. You know what I mean? I did Campfire Girls in California. So I kind of, we sell the candy, you sell the cookies, but kind of get the whole idea of.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. That's amazing.
So then I know you're in college now. Did you start college back then?
So I graduated in 2009 from high school, and I went directly to college. I went to the University of Laverne, and I graduated there with my degree in communications. But right now I am on disability right now. And I was like, well, I'm kind of bored. Let me see what I could do. And so I enrolled in school last semester. I enrolled in 2 classes just to see if my body was physically ready to withstand going to 2 classes, to see if I can, eventually work myself back up to going to a job. Like getting a job is my goal.
It's a good tester, right? Good taste.
Yeah.
Like, can I sit through this? Can I listen, or am I listening more to my body? Yeah.
Yeah. So this semester I decided to up it from 2 classes to 5. And
going big or going home, people.
Oh man, it is rough. It is a very
that's a big step.
It's a big strain on my body. And then all of my classes are very physical classes. Like I'm in glass blowing, I'm in sculpture, I'm in ceramics is the one that's the hardest on my body. And so they're all just really, you have to be fit and ready to put your muscles in.
It's physical therapy called school.
I was going to say,
exactly.
Kind of your day's work is your therapy.
Yeah, and then I actually have to go to physical therapy. So it's just.
Alexis is taking a plate and putting it as high as she can before dropping it to see how far can this go.
All right, so let's give our listeners a little context to all this too. What put you in this position? We tell these stories week after week, and I am still amazed after 2 years almost how diverse these stories are. And I think yours is going to be a first today. So tell us what happened.
All right. So at the very end of 2021, I was on vacation with my friends. And I think we were in Palm Springs. And I don't remember this part because I lost 10 years of my memory. But I fell off a balcony 5 stories.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And I shattered my lower back and, broke a bunch of like ribs. And I think there was like a puncture to my lung as well. And so I was in the hospital for 6 months after I got my spinal fusion. And then I did lots and lots and lots of rehab.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
were
I went
you guys
from
on vacation? Or?
Yeah, we were on vacation.
Okay. I was like, How did you end up down there? Just like, whoa, now I'm on a balcony that I'm going to fall off of.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, that's got to be rare in and of itself. Somebody falls 5 stories and survives.
And what's crazy is when I was in the hospital, the guy in the room across from me had fell 2 stories and was now paraplegic.
Yeah.
So I was incredibly thankful and grateful that I was, still breathing. And at the time I couldn't move my legs, but I would eventually work my way up to moving them. And my right arm also wasn't working for a little bit, only like a month though. and then I got my movement back in it. But
were you conscious after you fell?
No,
yeah.
I woke up like a couple of weeks after.
Gotcha.
And they just told me what happened, and I was just like, what?
You're like, no way, I was just on vacation. What are you talking about?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So I was just, everyone calls me a miracle, and I kind of
hard to argue with.
believe it.
Yeah.
Wear it, Alexis. Wear it.
Yeah, I was like, I can't argue with that because I've heard other horror stories. So yeah, I from that I got a spinal cord injury that left me with bilateral drop foot. So I can't move my feet or ankles in both legs, and I have to wear ankle braces in order to walk. But I'm just grateful to be able to walk because I was in a chair for a while, and then a walker, and then I graduated to dual canes, and now I am at a walking stick. So
Amazing.
very grateful of all of my progress I've made, and it's been 4 years, so very thankful.
And strong enough to go back to school, so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And do you feel now going to school every day, and that's a day's exercise now, out and walking and doing all the art that you're doing, you feel like you're getting stronger and making more progress every day?
I am. Yes, I do feel like I am getting stronger. Before I had started school, I was going to the gym every other day to try and build up my muscles so that I could go to school. Yeah. And so now that I'm in school full time, I'm going to the gym a lot less often. But I'm like, you know what? I was in school all day. That itself is a workout.
Yeah.
No, totally. Doug and I, that's so funny that you're saying that, because Doug and I were talking about setting a goal and trying to reach the goal, and then what happens when you reach it. So that you just kind of like, okay, well done now, let's move on.
Yeah.
You're like, your brain gives you an excuse. Like, you've gotten your sticker, just keep on keeping on. But it looks like you're trying to get, well, if you're a Girl Scout, you're earning these badges. Like, we got to make a new sash for Alexis, and we got to figure out what they're going to be.
Exactly. I'm always setting higher and higher goals.
Exactly. Step 1, wake up. Step 2.
So I was wondering, tell us a little bit about maybe the goals that you had when you were in the hospital all those months, and probably thinking to the future, when I get out, this is what I want to start to do and be able to do.
Ooh, that's hard because, like I said, I did lose 10 years of my memory. Like, my 20s are just wiped from me, which is sad because apparently I had a lot of fun in my 20s.
Right. So now you just get to be 21 again. You can just go backwards. Start over.
All over again.
Start over, but be a little wiser, but then forget you're wiser and just do what you want.
Smart. I like it. But, sorry, I was like, what was I going to say?
Well, just along the way, I was just wondering what your goals were. Did you set some goals and, I want to get to this point where I can walk this far, or whatever it was?
So my goals originally were, because I was just in the bed all day, I couldn't move. I was wearing like a back brace. So it was just to like move my legs. Like I said, they weren't working for the longest. So it was just bending my legs, bending my knees constantly. That was like anything I could do. I tried to move any like, if I could lift my arms, I was trying to move them all the time. And then eventually I graduated to like where I was. Yeah, I went to Ballard Rehabilitation for a month, and they kicked my butt. They got me into shape, and they really knew how to, motivate me to be able to walk again. I was just so excited to be standing and walking. And even if it was in the parallel bars, like just being able to walk again felt so like I was so vindicated that I was able to do it. But I think that's it was always setting the goals of, okay, from my chair, I want to go to a walker. From the walker, my next goal was to a rollator. And after the rollator, I just kept setting those goals. And right now I use the single walking stick, and my goal is to no longer be able to use it.
Right.
You feeling that confidence coming back?
Yes.
Yeah.
But so speaking of that though, have you always kind of been that? Like when you were little, were you confident? Did you naturally like set a goal and meet it? Or is this like a newfound, hey, I woke up and I have this huge mountain in front of me and I'm going to move it? Or was that, do we see that in your early life kind of?
So academically, yes. I've always been a straight A student, very nerdy, loves to read, loves all my science and everything. But physically, I was never into sports or like I had never set foot in a gym before my accident. So this is all kind of new to me. So now I go from setting academic goals to more physical goals. So I guess, it's related, but it's in a different way.
Yeah. But I think as a little, you have to, like, everyone's born with a spark, right? But there's a different spark for different people. So clearly it was in you in some way to say, no, I'm going to live through this. Even when, like, let's say the conscious you wasn't hanging out. Mm-hmm. It was still in stasis trying to figure out, whoa, what just shook me? It's clearly in you. So how do you wake up with that attitude? How do you gather that or yeah, that's a lot to overcome. It's a lot to be woken up and told, hey, you're older than you think you are. And, this just happened. How do you do that?
I know. I try and always stay positive. I'm very spiritual, and you always gotta be positive. Stay in that positive mindset and not let negativity overcome you. So I think that really helped me after my accident, because I've never been too fond of when people just complain, and I'm just like, but you're not doing anything about your complaints. Like, how are you going to fix this? And since I've always had that mindset, I was just something that I was able to, constantly radiate this positivity. Like, yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm not walking right now, but I'm going to be walking soon. Like, don't give up on me. I got this.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So the physical journey that you've gone through, in addition to that positive attitude that you have, anything else gained along the way from reaching those goals one at a time?
Goals. I don't know. I started to delve more into my spirituality, because I was basically bedridden for a year. I couldn't really do much. And so that is when I picked up more spiritual practices, and I started meditating daily. And I think that really helped my mindset.
Yeah. Nice. And your physical therapist, Kenny, is there a story there?
So at Ballard, everybody knew Kenny as more of, he was really hard on people. Everyone knew him as being very kind of mean, because he would really push you until no, you got to do this. You got to do this. And I loved it. He just knew how to push me and in a way kind of push my buttons to get me to be motivated to do whatever activity he was asking me to do. And I'd be like, no, I can only do 10 of these, whatever activity it was. And he was like, no, you've got this. You can do it. And he's like, I want you to do 20. And I'm like, okay. But it was just in his tone of voice, and you could just feel how much he believed in his patients. And I loved that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not mean-spirited. It's not any of that. It's truly driven from a love for the people, because I know so I have cerebral palsy, and I know going through physical therapy for myself, sometimes you literally viscerally hate the people that are telling you to do it. You literally just want them to fall through the ground. But it's, but in the same time, now being older and reflecting back on that, I'm like, wow, they really loved me because they were willing to be that difficult.
Yes.
So go, Kenny. Go, Kenny.
Very nice.
Very thankful for him.
And then what's the HITS program? What is that?
So HITS is it's a program for people with head injuries and trauma. I think it was head injuries, spinal. It was head injuries and spinal.
So it's an
injuries.
acronym for all of that. Yeah.
Yes.
HITTS.
Yes.
Gotcha. And I don't know if we mentioned that before we got to this point. You also had a traumatic brain injury in your tumble.
Yes, I did get a traumatic brain injury. Yeah. That is what caused all the memory issues.
Yeah.
And in that, when I started going to that support group, that was my first support group. They're the ones that led me and told me about possibilities. So I was able to reach out to possibilities. And in that support group, they're so helpful with, giving you resources or leading you in directions, and because they've been through it all, and they're like, oh, don't try this medicine. See if you can ask your doctor for this medicine. And then mostly what I'm incredibly grateful for is I wanted to get back to driving. I really wanted to. Yes.
Yeah.
My independence was just stolen from me. I wanted to get back on the road. I love road trips. I love them. And so I had bought a car specifically for road trips, and I was like, I want to drive my car again. But since I couldn't move my ankles, I didn't really know what my options were. So they sent me to a disability driver's ed teacher, and he wrote me a prescription for hand controls. And so I got to practice and learn hand controls. And so I was learning how to drive and practicing, and I was getting comfortable in the street. And eventually I wanted to work my way up to the freeway. And my first time on the freeway, I was driving, my dad was in my passenger seat, and I was rear-ended by a big rig.
Oh no.
Yes. I think he was distracted and on his phone and didn't notice that, we were coming to a slow, and he rear-ended me and kind of messed up my car. I was sad, but along with the car, he messed me up. I got a concussion, which it aggravated my brain injury so much that if I've had friends that I've had for 20 years, 15 years, I couldn't remember a single one of their last names.
Yeah.
And I was just, there was more memory problems came from that accident than almost my previous accident.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a big salad shaker again, right? Where it's who knows? Let's stir it up again. It's like the lotto. Just keep stirring it. So, yeah.
How long ago was that?
How
were your memories before? Though, how was it after the accident? Obviously, you lost 10 years, but how was that a daily thing for you, right?
So the car accident was 1.5 years ago.
Okay.
But how did I deal with the original accident memory? Yeah. So yes, I had just lost the 10 years, but then my short-term memory was kind of not so great, but I was working on it, and I was in therapy, and I was doing really good. And I had really upped myself to where my short-term memory was getting stronger. It wasn't what it used to be, but it was stronger. And that second accident just set me back, and I haven't been able to recover from that.
That's difficult.
Yeah, that was my next question, to see if you're making progress. So,
it's minor progress. It's getting a little better. It's very slow this time, but I still can tell that it's not what it used to be.
So how does that affect your school and stuff? I mean, do you forget daily stuff, or do you have retention of daily stuff and you just can't remember the extra piece of a last name, or
I like to think if it's important, I'll remember it, but a lot of menial stuff I forget. So if I am reading a book, I have to read all one book at a time, because I will forget. If it's a long book, I'll forget the beginning of the book by the end of the book. Or if I'm watching a TV show, I like to just binge it, because if it takes too long, I'll forget the episodes from 4 weeks ago.
Right. Well, the universe was don't sweat the small stuff. We'll just erase it. We'll just take it out. You have an automatic filter, courtesy of the universe.
When I got home, I was able to rewatch all my favorite movies and reread all my favorite books again. So I got to watch Lord of the Rings for the first time.
So it was new all over again.
all over again. And I got to reread Game of Thrones, and I was just so excited about it. I was like, oh man, all these twists and turns that I don't remember. I love it.
Yeah. You clearly walk on the sunny side of the street, and that's amazing.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about your artwork.
I prefer the medium of clay. I enjoy clay sculptures, and I guess I have a tendency to make larger pieces. So I'm very proud of I made a dragon skull, a dragon head, and it's about 2 feet long and about a foot wide.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And he looks pretty badass.
That's awesome.
Because I glazed him in what looks like, it'll look like magma dried rock.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
yeah.
cool.
And so it just looks like this dragon skull was near a volcano and got covered in magma, and now it has all these craters on it, and he's black, and I love it.
That's awesome.
Very nice. So, go ahead.
Did you do art before the accident?
I had never done like clay sculpture. I think I did it in high school, but I mean that was just like a high school class.
An elective for make a pot for your mom kind of thing.
Yeah.
Did you do any art before? Painting or anything?
I would paint. I do like doing like watercolors and working with acrylics, and me and my friends would have like paint nights, and we would all get together and paint whatever. And so that's about as creative as I had gotten, because I used to be a graphic designer. So art was kind of my job.
Yeah.
And so when art is your job, I just feel like you don't get to enjoy it as much as you do when it's just a hobby. And right now it's just a hobby for me, and I'm absolutely loving every second of it.
I was going to ask, what ignited that in you, do you think, post-injury?
I think I've always had a passion for art.
But now it's your avocation, not your vocation.
Correct. And I don't think I ever want to go back into the graphic design field in the future.
Yeah. So,
how did you get into graphic design though? Because you studied communications, right?
Yes. So communications multimedia, which is basically that is where graphic designers come from, and PR and TV and photography, all of that falls in there. But I got into it because in middle school, I was the yearbook editor. And then in high school, I was also the yearbook editor. And after that, I was just like, you know what? I really enjoy designing these yearbooks. Might as well make a career path of it. And I did. And that's when I stopped enjoying it as much, because you don't get to do what you want. You get to do what your boss wants you to do.
Yeah. Everybody's a critic. Deadlines. Work.
Like Doug might know something about that.
Yeah.
Maybe. Just a hunch.
Yeah. So any ideas of a new career path? Anything emerging?
My last job was a hybrid position. So it was graphic design, and then it was also like project management, where I had to manage with the printer, the writer, the copy editor, and sometimes even the different graphic designer to get things done and submitted on time, and know where in the process everything is. And I loved that. I absolutely loved that. So I think going forward, I'm going to go into project management positions.
Let me ask you this. So between school, therapy, your pets, everything else, what brings you joy these days?
It is school. It is school. Everything I'm learning. Like today, I learned how to make stained glass. I've been waiting to learn how to make stained glass for months since I enrolled in this class. And today we did it. And I was just like so excited and happy. And I made it in the shape of a heart. something simple for my first time. And I was just like, yeah, I'm so proud of this.
Yeah.
And I love being
I'm not
proud
going home. I'm moving in. Hey, maybe that's your
love-
calling. Don't know, right?
I love when I can be proud of my artwork. If I'm not proud of it, I'm just like, I don't know. Like right now I'm making a a sculpture out of wire, and I'm making a giant elephant head. And I'm just not as proud of it as I would be. And so, it's more, it's where it kind of seems like a job to finish it versus when I get so excited about making this stained glass or in glass blowing when I'm making, cups and stuff. It's just, when you enjoy it, it's just easy to do. And I don't like the medium of wire. So I guess maybe that's why I don't like it.
But I'm sure you're learning some things through it too that you'll use down the road, right?
Mm-hmm. You might be learning, yes, I hate wire.
I learned I hate wire.
That is what I learned.
There you go. Noted. Do not ask Alexis to do wire projects, people.
Yeah. What's the next big goal that you have, or small? What's the next goal? Let me just say it that way. That's in front of you that you're focused on.
So I am focused on being able to stand for long periods at a time right now. So I bought tickets to a music festival called Warped Tour this summer, and my goal is to be able to not die while I'm there.
So the Warped Tour is still around?
That's the first time it's come back in 10 years.
Oh, okay. Because I used to take my daughter to those, oh gosh, at least 20 years ago.
Nice. Well, look out. Yeah. Alexis has a goal, so we're doing it.
Yes, that's my goal.
Very nice.
To not die and just be able to like stand there.
I'm going to say more than just stand. We've got kind of an active crowd, so.
Yeah, that is very true.
Yeah. The dad in me says, be careful.
Yeah, the dad's like, please stand on the outside.
Yeah. The next thing I wonder too is then what's the kind of the global, kind of vision that you have going forward?
I think it would be to get a career that I am happy with. And it would be to try and find a job in project management where even if hopefully it's not a hybrid job where I have to do graphic design, maybe, try and venture as far away from that as I possibly can. And I just want to be happy with my employment. And I don't know, I feel like during COVID, I had a job where I loved it. And I was at that job when I had my accident. And so I no longer have it, but I just want to be like happy with my employment. I'm a good worker. I'm a hard worker, and I love, I'll wear any hat you want me to. I got hired as a graphic designer, and I was doing HR and sales and IT for one of these for one of my past companies.
I was going to say you've been taken advantage of.
I definitely was.
Yeah,
I was young and dumb, but But I loved it. I loved learning new things. Learning new skills is so fascinating to me.
That'll all pay off. I say that in jest because that's the way I was when I was young. I would volunteer for jobs, especially when I first got started in my career, and I knew they weren't going to pay me anymore. And, but I was gaining experience that would serve me down the road. And I think I admire you for that because I don't think enough kids think of that these days. They want that immediate gratification, but you put the work in and it pays off. Yeah.
Yes.
Good for you. Any words of it? I mean, I can't say, any words of advice for somebody that follows 5 stories, but just.
I think as long as you are strong in your beliefs, whatever they are, that you can persevere through anything because you know that whatever you believe is on your side, and you just want to make people proud. I think for me, I always just wanted to make my parents proud because after my accident, they really stepped up and helped take care of me, and I want to take care of them one day. So I think that's my goal is to get good enough and better enough at whatever I'm wanting to do to be able to thrive and help my parents out.
Amazing.
Sounds good. Well, it was nice to have a miracle on today.
I know, right?
That was awesome. And then we
witnessed a miracle, and we will continue to witness her for many, many years.
Yes. So we have
I feel like you need to sign some papers so that when you're famous, we can be like, okay, we had her on when she was just learning this stained glass stuff. Now she makes $200,000 on a window, and we are the peons.
That's the goal. Here's hoping.
Yeah.
Let's hope it comes true.
Right.
So one final question for you, and I'll let Addie.
Okay, so we always ask the same question of our guests because we do this to kind of help show the world diversity and disability. Mm-hmm. So the question is, how long does it take you to put on pants, socks, and shoes?
I would say about maybe 2 minutes plus a bed. I have to do it on the bed. But yeah, taking all these straps and getting everything to fit in my shoe is probably what takes the longest.
Yeah.
Get it just so.
You know, when I was young, back in the old days, well, there wasn't Velcro. So we had to actually lace up our braces. Yeah, when Velcro came along, oh man, it was like
heaven, Doug. It was heaven.
My world was changed in magical ways. You know, that's got a lot of time off of putting on the
right.
I've never thought about how old the invention of Velcro is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I'm very thankful for it.
There's a lot of other developments in the orthopedic industry that had changed over the years. I had to wear wingtips or something like that until I was, I don't know, probably warm, at least through school. I mean, you know how hip I was when everybody's wearing sneakers and I've got my wingtips on, because you had to have a repairable sole to attach it to the brace. And then I got to the point where I would wear boots, and not cowboy boots, but lace up, kind of like work boots, hiking boots, that I would wear on every occasion because, you only had one pair. So you wore them to weddings and you wore to school. You wore them everywhere.
You're like, sorry, guys, these are the permanent fixture.
And then they came out with a little cup kind of a attachment on the brace. So my first pair of sneakers, I still have them. My first pair of sneakers at 28 years old. That was another big day. Anyway, enough of that. Well, thank you. Thank you for coming on, Alexis, and telling us all about your story. We appreciate it. I'm sure it'll touch some people in wonderful ways. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I just, wanted to help motivate anybody that just kind of feels stuck right now. But things do get better if you work hard.
Each week on Walk and Roll Live, we share honest and open stories of people living with a disability.
I was excited to show my family just how much better of a skier I got to be. So we went up on December 30th. Then the next morning, I woke up 10 out of 10 pain. Chest, back, head. I slowly lost all feeling from my feet all the way up to my chest, that I was paralyzed, essentially. I didn't understand what was happening. All I knew is that something scary was going on.
Join us weekly for another powerful episode. Walk and Roll Live, wherever you get your podcasts. Life Limitless. Subscribe now.
I love this story so much because in Alexis's vocabulary, there isn't can't. It's just win. And I think that that's what I love about her, is that she is the thing we all need. Even those of us that are good at being somebody else's kick in the ass, sometimes we need a win girl who says, no, it's not never. It's just not now. And I love seeing that, and all the things she's trying in her life. She's not, barriers and limits are not in her jive. And I love that about her. I've left the podcast being even more grateful and even shifting my mindset about, it's not right now, but that doesn't mean it's never.
A great example, I'm going to have to kind of highlight that in my own mind, that episode to lead people to, because she's fairly early on in her recovery, really, in the big scheme of things. But like you say, I mean, she's already overcome so much, and really, I get the feeling she's got a lot that she wants to do, and I'm betting on her. She's
my racehorse. That's for sure. It will happen. And you know how she sets a goal with herself and says, well, it's okay if it doesn't happen right then, but it is going to happen.
Yeah.
She gives herself grace even in her goals. And I need that.
Yeah. You know, we have somebody coming up and probably in another 4 or 5 weeks. I think we're going to record the episode here soon, but it'll be up 4 or 5 weeks. An influencer. I won't say who it is yet, but I think once we introduce her, you know, if you follow different disabled influencers on social media, you'll know who she is. But I saw her in a post the other day, and she said, this quote has stuck with me, is that walking is not your life, you know, and that's it. You know, it's not your whole life. You know, It's just a part. It's a small part of it. And there's so many other things.
Yeah.
And I think the stories that we hear here exemplify that so much. You know, that's why I love doing this. You know, because we hear these stories and you would think that they would be so similar, but they're all so different.
It's like a snowflake, right?
Yeah.
The injury is, you know, let's say it's spinal cord injury, but it looks different on everybody, and it looks different on how, you know, they function in their life and the path they take because of it. And I think the like overarching thing, at least sitting here, is optimism. Optimism lives everywhere. And that is like the thread, right? Is their optimism, whether it takes shorter or longer durations to find it again, but it's always there. And I love that. But she is one sparkle of optimism.
and so many lessons that we can learn from all of them too. Even, and I know we've had a couple of guests, our older guests, that have said that, you know, you're never too old to learn something. And that's something I really try to lean into. You know, I don't listen to these stories, especially from somebody new that's come to disability, and think, you know, there's nothing I can learn from, but all of them. And there's some little nugget I can take away too and use in my life and make it better. So thank you all for sharing. That's I want to say that.
Yes.
And that leads me to something that I wanted to give you the opportunity. I don't think we've actually gotten into it a whole bit, and it'd take as much time as you'd like, but I know you have something called the plot twist.
I do.
So
the Plot Twist Society.
I'm going to turn into the interviewer and you the interviewee. I just want to know where that, you know, what inspired that.
So
and what it is.
Well, okay. So the Plot Twist Society for me it's kind of a group and a blog and all these kind of things mashed together to kind of make this community, because I was talking to a friend one day, and I said, you know what, life is like a whole bunch of plot twists because we don't know. Like, even when you plan your life as a young person and you say, okay, I'm going to graduate high school, I'm going to go to college, I'm going to get this job, I'm going to get married, I'm going to have kids. Like, movies teach us to plan like that, right? But that's not what it is. Like, life is a long series of swift kick in the ass, and it's how do you recover, right? So we're all part of that society just by entering life. And so my passion is kind of helping people recover from the things that they think is an end of something to find a new beginning in something else. And so over there, I do like some financial trainings. I do a mindset reset, meditations, different things like that to just kind of take you out of the bubble of like, oh shit, to I got this, and gives you another place to find the skills that you don't have. You know, when you get overwhelmed and your brain is just on fire with how scary the situation is. I lost my job. How am I going to make money? How am I going to, I've never had to budget. I've never lived out of my parents' house. Like, what do I do? So this is kind of the place where like I hold your hand and do some life coaching about it's going to be okay. I'm going to give you the tools. You're responsible for how you use those tools and where you go forward from there. But I'll lay a groundwork when you can't see past your anxiety to move you into the next phase, the next plot twist that's probably coming anyways.
Awesome. Well, I think that too is, and it's just human nature, but when we have a twist in our lives like that, we go to the bad places. You know, this is going to have a terrible outcome. What am I going to do? You know, this isn't going to end well, or whatever. But if we forget that the possibilities are out there, that it could end well. It could be better than anything you imagined.
Right.
There are those stories out there too.
Exactly. And that's kind of what I'm trying to blow on your spark to get you to that spot, because I feel like as a human, I've been given all these different challenges, a disability, a death of a parent, a divorce, health challenges, to kind of say like, hey, look, it does hurt when you land on your butt, but you can stand up and let me now put my hand out because I'm standing and you're not ready yet. So my hope is the personal coaching is helping you be ready and holding your hand while you're not ready and saying it's okay not to be ready yet, but you can't stay here.
There's more out there for you.
There is.
Dust off and here we go. So you can find how to get to the plot twist on our resources page. It's right because it's Addie. She gets top center billing there. So
there are perks to this.
So just click on that picture that has the plot twist and all the flowers, and it'll take you right to where she's talking about.
It'll take me right to my inbox, and you can dig around and see what's there, or reach out to me and say, hey, I need a hand. I'm stuck, and I'm happy to try and unstick.
Awesome. And speaking of the resource page, we have some new resources from some new guests that you may have met already, or maybe you're going to meet soon. So I've added those already. So just kind of look around and see what's going on there. If there's anything you can't find that you're looking for, let us know, and we'll try to help you track it down and get it on there for you. And that's about it. What do we got coming up? Anything in your world this week?
Well, I get to fly.
That's right. You're coming out this way.
Next week. Yeah. No, next week I'm going for work. I got to go play work girl.
No, I know that part.
And then
but you're
in a few
slowly
weeks,
making it this way.
2 weeks, I'm making my way to you. So May is a busy time of not being home.
Yeah.
So I'll have lots of airport stories and other crazies to share with our listeners. But for next week, I got to put on the real clothes and go to meetings.
Well, hopefully they get your computer to you soon.
Oh my goodness! Otherwise, I'm gonna just be like doing the Scrabble dance in the corner. Like
there's a plot twist for you,
right?
Exactly. All righty. Well, that's it for this week. Thank you for listening. I'm your host, Doug Vincent, along with Addie Rich from the Agyar Professional Training Studio. This has been Walk and Roll Live, Disability Stories, Life Limitless.